opening thoughts from head coach Kevin Dresser on the Big 12 championship.
Well, it's that time of year, and we take off tomorrow to Tulsa, and so it's Tulsa time again. I like where we're at health-wise. I like where we're at just mind-wise. So, this is something that every kid that goes to college dreams of getting in the postseason, and this is the postseason. So we're down to 10 guys, and we know what 10 guys we got right now, so it's just an exciting time for everybody.
If you do the math, you and Oklahoma State come out tied in the team race. How important, bonus points and things like that are always important, but how important are bonus points in making sure you wrestle back if you do lose and all of those things? How important is that going to be this weekend?
Well, first off, we don't want to tie. We don't like ties, all right? So we'll clear that up. But yeah, it's huge. Winning the close matches and the bonus points are going to be the difference. And, the Big 12's just gotten so much tougher over the years. Even since I, came here in 2017, the Big 12 just continues to get really tough. And so, you got to have it, really from Saturday morning on, you got to be ready to go. It used to be Saturday morning kind of if you were a top 3 seeded guy, you didn't need to worry too much. But it's not like that anymore, and it's got great depth, and it's a great prepare for the NCAA tournament and what we expect there.
I presume that O'Toole is over his illness.
Yeah.
How big is what do you expect out of David in that match?
Well, they both 165 is on paper the toughest weight, so they're both going to have really good semifinals. So I'm sure they're thinking the same thing we're thinking, is we can't look past those matches. And but if we get to that match, I've said it before, and it's a little bit of a broken record, but the last month I've really been strong in my feelings that David's just really ready to go. He's ready to go technically. He's ready to go physically. His tank is big right now, and more than anything, he's ready to go mentally. And they might be the same way. It might be a heck of a match, but I like our guy.
Go
ahead, Rob.
I was going to say, he's been a guy, obviously been a leader since he got here.
Mm-hmm.
Meant something that he came here. And how is that amplified? How is that shown as he demonstrates his mindset to everyone, that they're falling in line as everything builds? And is there some effect there, a contagion?
Yeah, he's very much a team guy, and in an individual sport you don't always get that. He's verbally a team guy, and I can promise you he wants to win every weight, and he wants to win a team title worse than anybody right now, and it's very genuine. And so that's easy to see for those other 9 guys that this guy really is competitive and he wants to win, and he's going to pull us along. So, he's a great leader.
You have quite a few guys who will compete in their first Big 12 tournament. How have you seen those guys prepare, and really how have you seen them getting amped up for this opportunity?
A guy like MJ, a guy like Cody Chittum, even Anthony. Those guys have competed in big events their whole life. The guy, MJ was the number 1 ranked kid in the nation at 160 pounds. Casey was the number 1 ranked kid in the nation at 132 pounds out of high school. You don't get that ranking without being in big matches. So, to a certain degree, we need to coach them up. It's just another tournament. It's another big event, and you've been in a lot of big events. I don't think it's going to bother those guys. And I jumped to Casey there. I'm sorry, he's already been there once. But Chittum was the number 1 ranked guy in the whole United States at his weight, or at every weight when he came out of high school. So he's been on big stages before. So I don't see that being a factor at all.
What do you mean? It feels like in your lineup you kind of know what you're going to get out of at least 3/4 or 4/5 of your guys. How important is it for maybe that missing some that isn't always there, isn't always present, going to be this weekend?
Well, we're going to need the guys that aren't the highly seeded guys. Will Feldkamp's had an up and down year, mostly because of injury, not because he's not capable.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's feeling. I would say if I were to evaluate him in the Missouri weekend, he was probably about 80%. I think he's closer to 100%, maybe 90% right now, which if you ask a lot of guys weighing in for the Big 10s and the Big 12s and the ACCs and all the conferences, if they're all 100%, they'd all tell you, hell no. He's very much going to be a factor in us. Julian, I really like the progress Julian's made the last couple of weeks. So, this is a team effort. We need all 10 guys pulling along.
What have you seen from Kyson Terkeen in the last few weeks since he didn't wrestle or make. He didn't weigh in for Missouri. What have you seen from him recently?
Well, I hope this holds true, but since Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, in the last 4 days, I've seen the best Kyson Terrakeen I've seen since November. We lit a fire under his butt a little bit and threw him out there in some wrestle-off situations and made him fight for his life this week, and he responded really well.
We talk about David really wanting a title. How have you seen the other guys really respond to the idea of having like a true chance at taking a team title?
Oh, they all know. They all know that we're going there, and I don't know if we're the favorite or not the favorite, but we're pretty darn close. But that doesn't mean anything. We know we still got to go perform, and we have to go in there with the proverbial chip on your shoulder and prove our worth right now. And so that's the challenge, and that's the fun of it.
We talked about Carr O'Toole, but Bastida and Hendrickson is another one that really stands out. Now Bastida's got to go through Elam to get to Hendrickson, but I guess we'll start there. Bastida handled Hendrickson in the dual meet without a lot. Yeah, Elam. Sorry, Bastida handled Elam without too much of an issue in the dual meet. What does that do for him as they potentially wrestle a second time?
Well, I think that match sent a message. We go get on that guy early again, and I hope that can be reminiscent of what happened last time. Again, I'm a coach, and so we always got to take them one at a time. And you're a journalist, and you guys are supposed to look at big matchups, so I appreciate you. But from my side of it, we got to get there. But if we get to that match, against Elam again, we need to do the same thing. And I think, Younger went out there in that match as the third-ranked guy against the fifth-ranked guy. I wanted to make a statement, and he did. He didn't want to win by 1 point. He wanted to go out and show his dominance, and he did. And so if we get to that match, again, it's going to be the same exact charge, all right? Go dominate him.
What's your balance of stress and excitement when you see MJ in a match, given he might almost get caught, and then 30 seconds later he's pinning a guy?
Well, I'd like to tell you and sit here and look you in the eye and say that I got MJ figured out, but I don't. All I know is he's a competitor and he's got a lot of tools. One thing we have to do, and good observation, is we have to make less mistakes, and we have to be. I think MJ's got like 40 takedowns, and he's given up 18. So we gotta minimize that a little bit. We gotta have be a little stingier than we are most of the time. But he's not a stingy guy. He's just a let it fly guy, and so we'll see which one shows up. But we know we're gonna get great effort out of him all the time.
What's it say about the season that Evan Frost has put together, that he's the 2 seed as a freshman?
That's pretty amazing, isn't it? If you would have told me that in October, I would have bet you a lot of money. Not that I didn't think he was capable, but just putting all of that together all year long in a tough tournament like this to come out and be the number 2 seed is a pat on the back for him. Now you just have to go prove it, because he's going to have some tough matches from the get-go, because that weight is really balanced. Dayton Fix is kind of the cream of the crop there right now, but after that, he's got to be on his game.
In retrospect, remember last year just how confident Casey was coming in. Excuse me, but for him to have to go through what he went through, the injury, and then kind of taking a jolt to that confidence, for him to come back the way he's come back, was that beneficial?
No, I think last year was a good, I think he figured out a lot of things last year, and he's been able to kind of let it go a little bit more and take a little less pressure off himself, because he is such a competitor. And sometimes that's a curse. When all you think about is winning, we're kind of trying to change his focus and let him just go out there and see how many points he can score, because he's fun to watch. And I think if he does that, he's going to take the pressure off of getting his hand raised. And sometimes, these kids all grow up and they're super competitive. So as much as you don't need to emphasize winning and losing at this point. It's already internalized with them. So if anything, we got to get them chilled and get them relaxed and let them go have some fun like they did when they were 6 years old.
How are you feeling? I mean, this is your 7th season, and David's about to graduate, and he's been such a staple of the growth of this program and what you've been able to do. How are you feeling mentally headed into this?
I think we got a great, I think I've said all year long, you guys have heard me say, this is a great squad. This squad, you need breaks. You need breaks. I don't care if you're in the NCAA basketball tournament, in the NCAA football playoff system at the end, or the NCAA wrestling world. You need to be good, and you need to have some breaks. And so we didn't get breaks at the NCAA tournament last year. I thought we were pretty good. I think we're better this year, but we still have to go get some breaks, and we got to make our own breaks. All right, good stuff.
All right,
how nice is it if we can joke about betting a bunch of money on something nowadays?